Growing up, I actually did not like my name Amanda. Amanda's one of those oh so popular names, like Michael, Paul, James was in elementary school, or in the 80s, 90s, shall we say. We all at least know someone named Amanda or someone named Michael. One of my not so fondest memories of elementary school happened to be when it was the first day of art class one year. Usually, you could almost always guarantee that there would be two or three other girls named Amanda, and that wouldn't always include me. Well, that stood the same for this particular year. The teacher had about three different Amandas, and she was trying to find a way to, you know, differentiate each one. So she would all ask us, "Do you have a different name you want to go by?" And when she got to me, I said my middle name, which happens to be Elizabeth. So, just as quickly as I offered the suggestion, she as quickly said, "No, that's not going to work." And looking back on it, I happen to think that's probably because it was so different from Amanda. Weird. I don't get it. Well, that's just one of those examples that I had growing up that it was an obstacle or a problem, and it was small at the time. However, it was one of the first defining moments that I had. Today, I want to just walk you through some of my life experiences, some of my not so good decisions, and some of my better decisions that have taught me how to keep going on in life. In my personal experience, I have seen that usually growing up, we have a childlike wonder or a zest that, doesn't allow fear to keep us from doing things. Let's take, for example, my son. He's 5 now. When he first started to walk, I was actually working at home at the time doing customer service, virtual call center. Well, this particular day seemed a little different. It was like he decided he actually wanted to walk. While I was taking calls, I had him a wonderful little play mat set up so I could keep an eye on him. Well, while I was talking to a customer, I happened to notice that it was like he was pulling up a little bit, trying to get his balance. And because he wasn't making a fuss, I didn't say anything to him and I just kept letting him do what he was doing. Slowly and surely, I saw him go up, down, up, down. And I just knew in a matter of seconds he was going to start to cry or get frustrated, and there goes my call. But to my dismay, he actually was sitting there laughing and playing and, just enjoying himself through the process of learning to walk. So I turned back to my call because, again, he was not making a fuss. So a few minutes pass by, and I look around, and he's actually pulling himself up. He has pulled himself up enough to get a balance. He's pulled himself balance up enough to take a few moments to take a step. And of course, I grabbed him up because it was his first steps. And now that I look back at this, it helps me realize that there's such a blissful moment in enjoying the process that we often forget when we become adults, late adolescence to early adulthood. Basically, we forget or we don't remember that zeal and that zest, that enthusiasm that we enjoyed when learning something new. And as we've gotten older, we've allowed that fear induced to take away from the adventure. And it should teach us how to go back to those moments. So we should look at it and learn how to go back to those moments to enjoy them when we meet those obstacles as adults. Also, in my experience of life, when I was about 25, I had the grand idea of moving to the Emerald City. What city is that? Atlanta. Coming from Valdosta, of course, that just looked like a place of opportunity, a place of anything is possible. And so I set my sights on moving to Atlanta. Also, I was actually taking classes online for fashion merchandising, and they actually had a campus there. So I was like, two and two is four. Let's move to Atlanta. this is it. Well, those closest to me, family, friends, they did not quite like the idea. I mean, I wouldn't either if I was the person that knew me at the time that didn't really have everything together. However, it actually worked out because there was a lady that we worked with, that I worked with. She knew someone who lived in Atlanta and actually was going to allow me to rent a room to stay there for a while. At the time, I didn't have any money saved. I didn't know anyone, and I had not been to Atlanta since I was about 8, 10. But still, somehow, this just seemed like the magic city, what I needed to change my life around at the time. So, everything happened to work out to where I was able to move to Atlanta. Now, this was not met without some obstacles. I mean, given how I didn't have anything set up already, it was kind of bound to happen. I quickly learned that the train works in both directions. I've never used public transport before, so I quickly learned that it goes both directions. But I didn't know what direction I needed to go in. I got lost. I didn't know many people, so I didn't really have opportunity to get out and meet people. But I didn't allow the fear to get in the way, and I looked at it as an adventure. So slowly and surely, I learned my way around. I actually would take the train and go to the mall for a couple hours because it allowed me to see the stops along the way, both directions. So next time, I knew what direction to go in. The Emerald City was just that for a good while. I had opportunities to work with in fashion shows. I had a chance to work at the Ritz-Carlton at a fashion show. I worked a major denim company while I was there. No pay because it was an internship, but still, it was putting me closer to where I wanted to be in life. As time went on, negative feedback started to happen. Because of this negative feedback, I began to think less of myself. I began to look back on those not so good decisions I made and just thought, this is not for me. So unfortunately, I made the decision to leave my Emerald City, go back to the wonderful, comfortable place of Valdosta. After I arrived back home, the negative feedback quickly set in. It was only a matter of time before I started to spend an unhealthy amount of time alone. I did not reach out to anyone I had met. I did not seek any type of help with trying to work out what I was going on. And basically what I was feeling was just normal life. I had got overwhelmed, all this newness, and I just did not have a way or tools to help me work through what was going on. So I slowly began to look for motivational speakers, and I also met a life coach. During my conversation with the life coach, she taught me a way of looking at things that I had never thought about. She asked me, tell me about yourself. Who are you? And very quickly, I started to say all these negative things. This is who I am. I'm this shy person. I'm just done this wrong in life. Just all the negative things we say about ourselves. So she asked me a question, which was, is that who you are, or is that who you tell yourself who you are? I picked my jaw up slowly, thought about it, and I realized she was right. Oftentimes we tell ourselves all this negative stuff about us, and we tend to wear it on our sleeves like, it's just who we are, when in actuality, that's not who we are. Those are just bad decisions, but not so smart things to do that we have done, but it's not who you are. So after I had the conversation with her and I started to put things into place, I realized that this is not who Amanda is. This is not my life. This is not who I'm meant to be. And there's opportunity for something much greater. So since we've all experienced those not so good moments, those that negative feedback loop that tends to play in our head, I believe there is some common ground, some common things that we can do in life to kind of help us keep moving forward when we have those steps that we've misstepped, or we have to move backwards a few times. So the first one I'm going to say is, what is your why? Now, for some people, materialistic things, fancy car, fancy big house, those are nice. However, it takes much more than that to keep going when you've made some mistakes, when you've had to step back in life. So, what is your why? For me, particularly, I have a wonderful, rambunctious 5-year-old who happens to love dinosaurs. And I have found that I wanted to be present in his life to the extent of being able to show up and take him places. Prime example, being here today, being able to have him in the audience to show him it's possible. You can step out beyond your negativeness, your bad things that have happened. Learning lesson. Okay, failure. Now, when you look at it, fail, right? Oh, we didn't do it right, so we failed at something. But actually, first attempt in learning. No matter how many times you fail, it's really the first time you're attempting to do something. So you have to learn how to do that. If you were to get something right every time that you tried something, then what would you really learn? And if you didn't fail or have a couple hiccups here or there, you really wouldn't have the firsthand knowledge of how to handle it if things don't go the way you want them to go or you would like them to go. So I like to look at it as first attempt in learning. Motivation. It gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. We've all been there. It's the beginning of the year. So usually this time of year, people make resolutions to lose weight, 10, 15, 20 pounds, or, just stop doing something. And we get motivated. And then somewhere along the line, it gets old quickly. It's a habit that we're trying to break. So motivation is great for getting you started, but you have to discipline yourself to keep doing it when you don't want to do it. So discipline is what's going to help build that momentum. What's going to make sure that you keep going when nothing seems to go right and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Choose how you define success. Success does not look the same for everyone. For some people, it's a bank account number. For some people, it's the freedom to go on vacation whenever they want. For some people, it's the simple thing of being able to pick their child up and take them to school. That's success for them. So individually, we just have to think about what is success, how success means to us. And then chase life with excitement. We all know there's enough stuff to keep us down in the dumps, to just make us not want to get up in the morning. However, we can't lose, or we have to find a way to gain that enthusiasm, that zest, that zeal back. For me personally, I love to make a person's day. I often say my son, he never meets a stranger, because regardless of where we're at, he's going to say hello. He's going to ask you your name, and he's going to tell you his name. So I like to do the same. I like to greet people with a smile. I love to ask somebody how they're doing, and I love to just try to bring up a person's day. For me, that is a zeal and a zest that helps me keep going when life is not going where I would like it to go. And with that being said, with all my personal experiences that I have had, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, they've all helped me become the person I am today. They've helped develop a quality that I would not have had if I had not made some not so good decisions and some better decisions. And because of that, I'm a much better person today. Thank you.